What's up, guys? Welcome to Information Operation. I'm Connor Ryan, and we're coming at you from Marquette, Michigan, bringing you your locally sourced ideas, thoughts, and inquiries. Today on the podcast, we feature Tina M. Howell and James Johnston for a special episode featuring Bumpus. Bumpus is that funky soul from Chicago that comes up here 2-3 times a year, rocks out Harborfest, rocks out the Oradoc, and I'm so excited to share this conversation that we had about the passion that goes behind the lyrics and the music that comes out of these people. The beautiful thing. I hope you enjoy. Bumpus, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm excellent tonight. Welcome to the Arctic Circle.
It's a very, very cold
I'm glad you made it up.
and dark and kind of amazing up
Yeah.
here.
That's the thing. It's amazing. It
Yeah.
takes a certain kind of person to make their way up.
Yeah.
So, what got you guys started coming to Marquette?
Oh, so let's see. We used to be on a schedule where we were performing probably 5 days a week. Excuse me. And every week we would pick a sort of different direction.
Sure.
We would go from Chicago to Iowa. We would go from Chicago to like the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. We would go Chicago to Milwaukee, Madison. We would go Indianapolis, and then just repeat. We'd go from like Wednesday through Saturday, come home Sunday, work some restaurant jobs for a couple days and practice during the day, and go do it again. And then the booking agent we were working with at the time, who we still work with sometimes, Simon Says Booking, he was like, oh, I got this place, it's cool, it's a little far, but you can stay for 2 nights.
Right.
And it's just sort of a weekend, and they'll put you up, and they'll feed you, and they pay really well. We're like, all right. And they're like, it's great. Bands love it up there. I'm like, all right.
Skeptical.
Yeah. I'm like, but we were doing it we were doing all these things, and actually the idea of like playing 2 nights is like where we can just leave our stuff set up.
Sure.
And not have to move to the next place.
Right. And the Oradoc kind of gave you that opportunity, or was that the up north?
It was the Upfront. Yeah, the Upfront was the first place, and the Upfront had.
We got a big smile over here.
Yeah, we had the Upfront had an amazing stage. It had a super like professional grade sound system and sound people. Yeah. And it had like an amazing crowd, like just there, and I don't know, we all kind of just hit it off with the town. Sure. And we've had some times where we stopped coming for a while, but we've been coming up here kind of ever since. And then Upfront closed down. We didn't come for a while, and then Oradoc opened up, and it was like let's take a chance. Right. And try it.
And how long have you been doing this for? How long have you been a part of Bumpus?
I've been doing it for over 20 years. Since I was like...
It's 23 years.
18.
Dang.
19, 23, 24
And you were up front doing vocals at
I was doing
18?
Some of them, yeah. Well, some of them. We had another singer before. Her name's Rachel Yamagata. And she is a singer-songwriter now. I actually just saw her in Chicago on Wednesday night playing, and she plays all over the world, and her vibe is a very, very different from Bumpus. Yeah. But it's cool because even in her music, which is a singer-songwriter, and it was like a 3-piece band, you can see the sort of Bumpus blueprint in the way she like works her show. Like she has like we have a sort of way of working our show where you make sure that everybody's featured. Yeah. And we definitely like focus on sort of like weaving a path of varying it up between like, you know, fast songs, slow songs, songs that sort of like will play naturally into each other.
Sure.
And
keep it rolling smooth.
And she, I mean, that's something that like she and I and the rest of the like original members like kind of developed like what that blueprint is together.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see in a totally different like world see some of the same thing.
Yeah. And you've got
super dope.
And she is like
she's
she's
dope.
half Japanese, half Italian, and she has like a gargantuan power voice. And she's raw and honest, and
it's just gotten greater like over the years.
Yeah.
Like,
quite the shout out.
Great songwriting.
Shout out.
Of course, man.
Big time.
She's the real deal.
And you guys got a lot of fans coming to your live shows in Marquette.
Yeah.
Right?
Hopefully.
Thank
we'll
God.
see how we do it later.
See, right, tonight.
We never assume that
No.
the place is going to be packed. It's always a surprise.
Yeah.
Have you
because-
come up and it's just dead?
Not for a while.
Not
Right.
really, but
People know.
even with that, you just can't assume like, oh, you know, we're gonna
Sure.
go. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
But the word
We're
gets out.
always humbled and grateful for the people who come out.
Right.
That's kind of why we like coming up here. They're, like I said off air, they're appreciative. They work hard. They play harder, and they enjoy they genuinely enjoy when we come up here.
Yeah.
And we try to give them the best show.
Well, it seems like you connect with people in the crowd. Like, do you start to recognize these people as you come up here more and more?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. We got a few people we hang out with.
That's sweet.
Sometimes when we come up here.
And then
And then we have the regulars that
Yeah.
are like, hey, we're like, hey.
Right.
You know?
Right.
we've also done a few of these people's
Weddings.
Sure.
So I
Sure.
recognize some of those people,
Right.
of course.
Saw people graduate,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
different classes, like graduate. So the crowd just keeps.
I don't know, maybe that's part of
Recycle.
it. Maybe that's part of it is like, I think being in school and being even just if you're not in school, but in of that age,
Sure.
the experiences that you have at that time are kind of forever for
They
you.
make an impact. Right? Going
and
down
so-
to Harborfest as a freshman and seeing, a rockin' show is like, welcome to Marquette.
Yeah, that's
Welcome
cool.
to Marquette is what it's like.
Yeah, no, but I do think, I mean, Tina, what you said is like, people up here, like, they have an appreciation of things, and they're not afraid to like roll with it.
Right.
Whereas like some places we play, it's like people have a good time, but they don't really express it.
Right.
And they
Right.
don't. They may like it just as much. It's just like here, people are not afraid to like.
They're not
Let
afraid
it
to show you they
out.
like it. Yeah.
Right. And tell you, like, face to face, look you in the eye, like, thank you for coming up here.
Yeah, but it's more powerful. They just tell you while we're playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we just feed off that energy.
Exactly. That's one
Yeah.
thing I notice about you guys is there's like a circular motion going between you and the crowd. Like when you guys play live, like it's almost like a connection. You're synced up with the crowd. How do you make that connection being on stage? Not being separate from the crowd. It's one energy.
I mean, I think everybody in the band probably does it in their own way. I'm more watching and thinking, like, when I see things, like, if they respond to something, then the song that comes next is going to be different. If they don't respond, it's more of just, like, it's basically a conversation, and it's like, if we lose the thread of the conversation, we got to, like, come back and get it again.
I try to make sure I always try to talk to them. Ask them, are they still in the house? Who's drinking?
Yeah. Yeah.
Raise your glass.
Get them involved.
You might like this song. Everybody turn up, as the children say. So I
lit.
just try to stay engaged, which it's not very hard for me, but it's kind of hard in a way where I don't want to sound cheesy. She's just talking to us. Just
Wave your hands
but
in the
in a way,
air.
yeah, I don't want to sound like the
Sure.
cheesy old lady on stage. But
Sure.
I try to engage as much as possible. And I guess when people know you're engaging with them, that makes it all the more easier for them to just wild out and be like, yeah, we're with you. Like we hear you. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? We see you.
Right.
So and I see them in return. So getting that exchange of energy is just great for us because that makes us have more fun on stage.
Yeah.
And like be free to be silly and
Sure.
like play the song and
Would you?
sing it to them. And some people even know like old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Some people even know words, so you see them mouthing words, like which helps me sometimes. 'Cause sometimes I'll forget a line, and I'll see some. Oh, okay, that's how it goes.
That's how it
So it's cool, Like the exchange of energy is always fun.
Yeah, and a lot of your songs, like, they move people, like, quite literally. Like, they're speaking to the people, and whether it's like getting out of a hard time or figuring out what you're gonna do with your life, like a lot of the lyrics speak to that. Do you write a lot of that?
Um, for this particular the new record, I wrote some stuff, and me and James collaborated on some stuff. We pretty much we write really well together.
Yeah.
It's not really hard to write with James because James kind of understands. Like I mean, where like I can if he leaves off with an idea, I can come in with an idea,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
Yeah.
And like if it goes like for me, I can go way over here and he'll reel it back in,
Sure.
But it's never like, oh, don't say that or don't do that.
Right. It's a
just
collaboration.
we'll moderate it and what am I saying that modify it.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it'll turn out to be something really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you get your inspiration to write?
Life.
Life.
Something will happen and we'll pin it down or he'll hear something, and he'll do a little recording of it and I'll go listen to it and then we'll sit down and we'll pin it up, at least put a blueprint to it.
Right.
And then once we have something we think can work, we get the rest of the tribe in and
Sure.
we work it out.
Right. And make it all encompassing for the band. Right.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, like, my approach is like understand the style of the people that you are writing with or that you are playing with, and write sort of the sketch level version of
Sure.
the thing.
Like the blueprint.
Yeah, but like not, I don't know, the song we just wrote. Like I was like, I think it's these. When we went to the guys, I was
Yeah.
like, I think it's these chords.
Yeah.
But you need to tell me like
Yeah.
some better chords that will work over the same
You
melody.
give them the freedom to
Yeah.
use their talent.
Because they're like all the people we play with now, like everyone else in the band is like a professionally trained musician, and
Yeah.
both Tina and I are like self-taught.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
So it's kind of like, and actually when the band first started, everybody in the band was self-taught.
Yeah.
Like so much so that we were like, oh, Sly Stone's the coolest thing I've ever seen. What kind of instruments are in Sly Stone's band? Oh, okay, saxophone. Well, no one plays saxophone, but we got two guitarists and they only have one, so
Let's figure this out.
you are not going to play guitar, you're going to play saxophone, which is if anyone has ever taken like band,
Yeah.
like that's an absurd thing to you don't just like pick up the saxophone at like 20 years old.
Right. Like I can read music, so I play the saxophone now.
Right. I mean, and
Doesn't
it's
work.
like, oh, and you don't read music and you just, you're just trying to wing it.
Wing it.
But that was like how Bumpus got started, was basically we like funk music. We don't know how to play that, or maybe some of us do a little bit. Let's learn. And I think over like 1,000 shows or so, we learned how to play.
Yeah. and you got involved a little bit later with Bumpus. And how did you get hooked up with them?
My partner in crime, Renee Ruffin, at the time we were in a band called Marvin Tate's D-Settlement, and she did some backgrounds for James, and she got me in the group around 2001, 2002, something like
2003.
that.
Okay.
Something like that, yeah. Okay. And
like 12, 13 years then.
yeah, and
Was it break?
I had a break. D-Settlement did some more shows. I did some more stuff with other people, and around 2007, 2008, I came back, and we've been rocking since.
Yeah. And how did you first get introduced to performing and doing music?
I was a poet in Chicago, and I had my own open mic, and at the time I was a poet who sang. Okay. I just so happened I knew how to sing. At the time, I didn't take my singing serious because I wanted to be Nikki Giovanni and all this stuff, and I was an activist, and I was militant and all that. Not a hateful militant, but I don't like government. You know what I'm saying? Let me take that back. I don't like bad people who run government.
Suppression.
I don't like suppression. And a lot of things were going on in Chicago at the time that we were all protesting. I was young. This was between the ages of 19 and 25. So I was all about it. Yeah, let's change the world, all that stuff. My friend Marvin Tate, who I had met at 19, he had a couple of bands. He had D-Settlement, and then he had a band called Uptighty, and then he reformed D-Settlement. And around 25, 26, I joined his band and honed my skills. I did a little background for some up-and-coming rappers at the time and all of that, but nothing ever came of that really, but I learned how to record and kind of find my voice on the mic. So when real opportunities came along, I kind of knew what I was doing. So I just used every show, every opportunity as just like a stepping stone to make things, better.
Sure. Sure.
So.
And when you were doing the poetry and writing, you're saying that you write from your life experience. Like, what was that life experience? Like, where did it start out where you were like, I want to share this?
At my junior year in high school, I had a crush on some guy, and I wrote my first poem, and I had it hidden in a book.
Yeah.
And some friends talked me into going to a place called Spices, and which was downtown on Franklin in Chicago.
Oh.
Over by your job. And I was terrified. I was scared shitless, man. It was some of the most terrifying shit I did. And at the time, the poem was wrote on, I'll never forget it, a long ass piece of 2-ply. This was back when Scott tissue was 2-ply.
Toilet paper?
Yes. It was a pink. They don't even make colored Scott tissue anymore.
Yeah.
Pink 2-ply Scott tissue, and I read this poem off the Scott tissue, and the elders in the crowd loved it, and they said I should keep writing. And from then on, it was every day. It was all of these composition notebooks, and
just getting obsessive.
And I had to write elders around me to Kent Foreman and Maria McCrae, and these people have since passed. My friend Ted Witcher, who wrote and directed a movie called Love Jones, he would sit in the back of Spices, and at the time he was penning this screenplay and this script. He was literally penning it, and there were comics who came to this open mic and all of that stuff, because I had thought I was going to be a comedian, but the poet thing just kind of worked out, and I kind of dated comedians.
Sure.
So
sure.
That's how that worked out.
Best of both worlds.
Yes. I keep my sense of humor with the people who are lucky enough to hear my corniness in person, but I don't do it on stage. So, I leave that to the comedians.
Yeah, and at
Yeah.
this time, like, this wasn't your full-time gig. Like, you weren't a poet full-time. Like, was it a side hustle, or did you just go like, I'm running with this?
What wound up happening was somebody had saw me. There was a bookstore in Wicker Park called Freedom Found Books, and a friend of mine named Kendall bought it, and my friend DeRoe bought Kendall and his wife to Spices to see me do poetry, and offered me a gig at their spot doing an open mic. So I had an open mic from 93 to 99, and until the doors closed to the place. So that kind of was I mean, I had a day job, but I thought I was going to be a poet.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to write books and all kinds of stuff. But the music just kind of transitioning out of the poetry thing into the music was just kind of seamless.
Yeah.
So all while this was going on, around 96, I got desettlement. And we started playing.
It was a smooth transition.
And we would go see Bumpus down at their residency.
Yeah.
At the Elbow Room. And
So,
so we all just kind of knew each other.
And all the while, you're working a day job.
I'm working a day job. But I didn't think about it like that.
Right. What were you doing?
I worked at a beauty supply house. And then I worked at the bookstore.
Yeah.
So those were the two jobs I held down.
What about you, James?
Well, working wise?
Yeah.
Oh,
because this is like behind the scenes, people see you up
Yeah.
on the stage, it's like, that's Bumpus. Like, no, this is James and Tina. Like, seriously, like, what did you guys do otherwise?
So what I did is I went to school and I graduated from Northwestern in '97.
Yeah.
And the next day I went to work at a restaurant.
Damn.
And I stayed working in restaurants for 11 years.
Pull that mic a little bit closer.
Yeah, I stayed working in restaurants. After I graduated, I stayed. The next day I was working in restaurants for like 11 years. And I did take a break to do, I worked in a recording studio for about 2 years. Because I thought that maybe I should be a producer.
Yeah. Got a love for music, love funk.
And I did like it, but I didn't like the lifestyle of a producer.
Yeah.
I didn't like the studio lifestyle, which at the time was, inside 24/7, order food. I think I gained 25 pounds while I was working at the studio. And then I left the studio and immediately the weight came off.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Like almost like I took off
It just
my coat.
wasn't natural.
It was like, I don't know. There's something about like, I don't know. It sounds selfish probably, but if you're going to go and do like 16-hour days and like you're at 3 a.m, you are editing somebody's vocals, and if it's not awesome, it really is.
It gets
lame.
looked over.
It's just lame, and you're crushing yourself for like not your thing
for a job.
Soul-sucking experience.
And especially, but I mean,
Right.
it's all about the material. If the music is good, then it works. But working in the studio and you kind of you're booked with what's going to come in and
Right.
and who can afford that studio, and a lot of the stuff we got wasn't that great. So
Right.
I don't know.
What would you say to people doing that?
I think they love it. I mean, I hope they love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a job.
Yeah.
It shouldn't turn into a just over broke for you. You
Right.
know, like
Yeah.
you're doing it because now I got to get up and go to this studio and listen to these shitty vocals over and over and over and over and over again, because that's basically what it is. You're stripping everything out and you got to listen to every piece of that. and people who love it do good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're also probably getting better work
Sure.
and better quality of performance.
I've also not been like always. I'm not like great with some of the tech of recording, so like it was definitely always like frustrating to me more, and I was like more of like thinking about the ideas
Sure.
and like how it should feel, and I think like I definitely think I'd do a better job now. I think it was also like experience,
Sure.
I didn't have that much experience playing. We've been playing for like 5 years or something, and like really just very close to what I was doing, and that's it.
Sure.
And like, so not a whole lot of perspective.
Now, do you feel like this is now like Bumpus is your full-time gig?
Oh no, it's not. I have a job now.
Yeah.
I wish it was, but it's not a reality for me.
Right now.
But I work for a design agency called One Design.
Yeah.
And I do like project management and strategy and organizing.
Yeah. Do you think it will be one day, or do you
I don't
have
know.
your mindset on that, or your sights set on that?
I want to make really good stuff and let that lead where
Let
it
that
will.
be the answer.
Lead where it will.
Mm-hmm.
I think we still have like a lot of good music to make. I feel like the record we just made is really good, and I think that the new stuff that we make is good. I think it's about us making enough time to make enough of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that new record is Way Down Deep.
Yeah.
Where did the idea, like, where did the inspiration come from that, or for that?
For
The record,
the song, or the record?
The
I mean,
songs,
the songs were just kind of a collection of
things that worked.
things that work, but I think the genesis of it actually started when a few years ago when I broke my voice.
Yeah.
We were up in Marquette, and I had been doing a weekly residency with this other band that I was playing in called Clip Art. And we were doing a residency at Shuba's for a month. Every Monday for a month we were playing, and I was doing that, and then we had some gigs. We came up to Marquette. We played both nights here, and I think it was at the Upfront right before it closed. And we had a blast. And then we had a gig the next week in Chicago, and I went to go sing to warm up. And when you're a singer, you have in your mind and in your body a muscle memory and like sort of a mental memory of where a note is. And I went to sing a note, and it was a half step off. Like my muscle memory and everything in my body is telling me that it's in one place and the note that's coming out is a different place. So I tried to push it a little bit harder, and then two notes came out at the same time. But not like, was that Layla Hathaway?
Not like Layla Hathaway.
Not like Layla Hathaway, who can like harmonize with herself and create two notes at the same time. Like something was very broken. And I like faked my way through the show, and then went to the doctor, and they said that I had an acute injury. It wasn't like building up over time. It was like an acute injury, which
like happened on a snap.
Could have only happened up here, because, and I honestly think it was.
Was it the cold?
No, I think it was. I have a way of laughing sometimes when something's really funny.
Yeah, yeah.
I laugh, and then like a sort of secondary laugh, the pitch goes way up, and it's like, I think I remember we tied it on hard that weekend, and I was laughing and probably hurt myself. So I couldn't sing for 6 months, and then when I could sing again, I couldn't really sing like for a long time,
Just wasn't the same.
for over 2 years before I felt like I even had my feet under me.
Damn.
And it still, I'd say, is like it's 90% maybe of what it was,
Yeah.
but it's different. And then so through that, a lot of frustration.
Sure.
Through that, some tough times trying to figure out how to do the band.
Yeah, and still make it work.
And through that, you know, amazing voices in the band, let's use them.
Came through. Right.
And Tina, I mean, like, we were starting to write stuff together. We were starting to, like, have a model of how we write together, which is exactly what we talked about before, where it's like there's an idea and there's like a very loose sketch.
Yeah.
And then it's like
bring it to life.
And so then that's how these songs kind of came about. A lot of them. I mean, with the exception of Anything, which you wrote a long, long time ago.
Yeah, that's my that song is from my early 30s.
What song is that?
Anything.
Yeah.
That's from my early 30s.
Yeah. That is honestly that song kept me going in a lot of hard times.
Oh, that's
really
so
did.
nice to hear.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is so nice to hear.
About a year ago, you know, the world gets turned upside down.
Oh,
We
yeah.
all go through our adversities.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I can be anything.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what happens now.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving forward no matter what.
So I had that one already, but what's our other song?
What, Step Sure?
No, the other one, Keep Standing Up,
Oh, Keep
came
Standing
out of adversity.
Yeah.
Came out of some major changes that were going on
You wanna
in life.
we can get that rolling real quick. Just
Sure.
give people a quick listen.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Keep Standing Up was another one, and I'm actually the wrestling coach for a high school up here.
Oh, cool.
And I play Keep Standing Up. No matter how bad life takes you down, keep standing up, baby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I
Oh, that's awesome.
I keep them moving, man. I'm like, keep standing up.
Yeah.
Keep standing up. And the song's playing the whole time, man.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta. It's like adversity is gonna always it's always gonna be some bad shit happening.
Yeah.
So you gotta put that in perspective. Go through it, allow it to happen, but it's not the fall. It's the get up. It's the comeback.
Yeah.
So
it's
that's
how,
the key.
It's not about how hard you can hit. It's
Yeah.
about how hard you can
How
get
hard
hit.
you can get hit
get
and
back
get
up.
back up. You
Keep
know,
going.
and tell life you hit like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? And keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's where that comes from. You know,
Yeah.
the people are gonna always talk shit. You're gonna have your haters. You're gonna have all of this stuff happen.
Yeah.
You know, but again, like that's again like when these kids are like, oh, the world is over. You know, we've all had thoughts about taking ourselves out. Like at 16, I tried, but it was a failed attempt. Thank God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you gotta get back on the horse. You know what I mean? And continue to ride it out. You
Right.
know.
What gets you back on the horse?
To do just that. Like I'm not no punk. You're not taking me out. You know what I'm saying? I got too much life to live. I got too much to see.
Mm-hmm.
I always say it like this. I'm nosy. So
What do you mean by that?
To take myself out, I'm missing out on. I'm concentrating on the finger instead of all the heavenly glory, like Bruce Lee said. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to let your problems, you know, to just concentrate on those problems.
Right.
You're just right here. But there's a whole world of
Perspective.
stuff. There's a whole perspective. And somebody always has it worse than you.
Always.
You know what I'm saying? Always.
Always.
You gotta look at stuff like that.
Right. And
You
it's
know what
it's,
I'm saying?
Yeah, it's taking yourself out of yourself.
You can be at the rock bottom, but somebody is under that
under
rock.
that rock. Right.
going through it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, allow yourself to feel the way you feel.
Right. It's the
But
only
not
way to
for
heal.
long. It's the only way.
way to heal
Yeah.
is you got to feel it.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the end, it's going to teach you something too. It's going to teach something you never would have found out.
Lessons are a motherfucker, ain't they? Yeah.
They're the best. But it takes getting that world shook up. Your little perspective from
Yeah.
yourself gets shook up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to shake
you
the
gotta-
shake the dust out.
You gotta always
And help you
try to
see
see
it
some
clearly,
other stuff.
right? From an objective standpoint, like take yourself outside yourself and be like, okay, I'm looking down on you. You can go. You can keep standing up.
And it's about killing your ego too, because if you stay in that place where it's oh, woe is me all the time,
Right.
then okay, stop.
Right.
Stop doing that.
The ego is a great trickster.
It is. You need it to survive, but you don't need it to. You don't need it to stay in a place of like a mental place
To
of
define
lack.
you.
It doesn't
Right.
define you. You aren't who you think you are. You're much greater.
Much greater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you are your actions. You are your energy that you put out and take in.
Yep.
Right.
So, thank goodness for music and my friends like James. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
if I didn't have all this, or if I wasn't so open minded on the possibilities, I probably wouldn't be saying this stuff. But
Might not
you
be
live,
here,
you learn,
right?
and you grow.
Right.
So
Might not be here
Yeah.
sitting where you're at.
Exactly.
And that's like to realize that's perfect and be like, wow, actually my life is right where it needs to be right
oh
now.
yeah,
Because of the hard times.
yeah, yeah.
You just keep remembering that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's easy to forget.
Every day, some shit is gonna try to knock you down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Muhammad Ali got knocked down, and he was the greatest.
Right. Right.
And he kept getting up and telling life, "You hit like a bitch."
That's right. And he wasn't afraid to say it.
And he wasn't afraid to say it. So you
Yeah.
know, and that's another thing. People gotta stop being afraid to like say stuff. I think this particular world we're living in is making us softer.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we can't be so soft, but we can't take ourselves so seriously either.
You don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, and that's wrong. Like, I'll say this: everybody is not exempt from having a joke or being talked about.
Right.
Nobody's exempt, and you should feel flattered that somebody is making a joke about you. That means you're on their mind.
Right.
You're not supposed to
You're
give that
part of their
type
reality.
of stuff that much real estate in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're like, who are you not to get talked about? You're human. You fart and shit and piss just like the next individual.
Put your pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else.
Exactly. And farts are funny.
Yes. That's okay.
So show me somebody that doesn't fart and you fucking kill that fucker because it's alien.
Yeah.
That motherfucker does not deserve to be here.
Yeah.
That's alien and foreign. It's artificial. It's not natural.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
yeah, but if you fucking fart and shit piss, you're not no better than the next person.
Right.
But you're great in your own right.
Yeah.
So
Everyone has that.
nobody is exempt from a joke. The jokes are just observations that somebody said, and if it's not right, if you're offended, say it then.
Yes.
But don't fucking don't live there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to live there.
Simply just a version of the truth.
Dude, satire is everything.
Right.
There's a little bit of truth in
everything.
all the satire.
Right.
So.
There's that universal truth that applies to everything being done,
Mm-hmm.
even the worst of things. There is an element of truth to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. Do you have strong faith as well?
Yes.
Where does that come from?
Well, I when I was younger, I was in the church.
Mm-hmm.
As I've gotten older, I see God in everything. So, and I also see the devil in everything, or the proverbial God and devil.
It's a paradox, right?
Yes, it's definitely a polarity, and those are just aspects of each individual. This is you, me, all of us are God manifests on this planet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Light, right? Sharing
our
light
light with the world.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, and that's what that is. People can say the devil made me do it. Well, you need to talk to your devil.
Maybe free will.
Free will you probably thought that was cool to do. And found out that they're not so much cool to do. You know what I'm saying? But that's what that is. But I don't believe. I believe your heaven and your hell is on earth. That's where I believe it is. I don't believe that. I believe the afterlife is a whole nother situation.
Inconceivable, unimaginable.
That plane of existence, that energy, that reality is a whole nother situation. I don't think you're gonna burn or Some people even say hell is cold. Well, if it's cold, that's what it is outside right now.
Nobody, right? Hell on earth, right? Nobody knows. That's the thing.
Nobody knows for sure. Right. Nobody has lived to tell the tale.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But hey, it is what it is.
Right, and it's a beautiful.
You just got to treat people. I know it sounds cheesy. Treat people. You don't want to be treated like a shithead. Don't treat people like shithead. Period.
As simple as that.
You know, watch your tone, watch your thoughts, watch your actions. Your thoughts will get you in more trouble with you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Within. Negative thoughts and everything like that. Just your thoughts alone. The battle is battling your humanity inside of you. So the thoughts that you have alone, that's the shit that gets you in trouble.
Right, that's the humanity side. That's the ego side. Yeah. Then there's the divinity side. Yeah. It's totally.
When you rise above that, when you can rise above that and you tap in, yeah, exactly.
Right on. Because you talk about soul music, like you're singing from
that's
soul.
What it is. Well, that's where that comes from. Soul music is from all of the hardship and the oppression.
The lessons.
The only thing we could do was shine a little light just to get over. Right. You know what I mean? Right. So that's where that comes from. Right. So, you know, if everybody now can put a little soul in their music, you know what I'm saying? We'll be all right.
Right. Let it come through. And like you said, not be afraid. No. Not be afraid to let it shine through.
And it's easier said than done, but the practice of not being afraid, that's a practice. Mm-hmm. That's a process. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have a certain amount of fear, but it's the test is the overcoming of the fear.
Do you find yourself in a flow state when you guys are on stage? Completely synced up? Like no thoughts? You talk about thoughts.
Those are great. Those are great times. I can remember a lot of times when that's happened where we're especially if you watch us do some of my favorite stuff, and then James, I would love for you to chime in if you can remember a time. But
well, I mean, I think the flow. I definitely know what you mean. Like in the flow state.
Flow state, like there's no thoughts, there's no concerns. You're completely present in the moment, synced up with your mind, your body, your heart, your soul. It's all
two songs in particular when we do All the People. Mm-hmm. Some of those times when we break it down and we do that long music thing, and sometimes on like Fake It, or there are a few songs that are like that where we'll have. Even with Rocksteady, with the music, it happens for me during like the music breaks when everybody is syncing up, right. Like
because it's not only you,
and it's the spaces in between the spaces too.
I think, I mean, I think one of the reasons we like coming to Marquette is because the opportunities and chances of flow state, like for us, are higher here.
Get to stretch out.
I just like we. Feed off the crowd, feels good. You stop thinking.
No pressure.
And you just go. For me, it's like a flow state can be introduced sometimes when somebody in the band does something that you didn't expect, and it just like picks up the band. Mm-hmm. We've had a thing where we play with a variety of bass players, and one of the guys we play with, Mike. He introduced into one of our songs our first songs, like You Got That Right, first song, like one of our first songs we ever made. He introduced this like house where there's an instrumental break. He turned it into like a like old Chicago house, like bass line. And he introduced like a kind of thing where you could play and listen to the same thing for like 10 minutes and it wouldn't, like you're no longer like there's no time anymore. And he did that, and that was at he's done that a few times, but the last time he did actually was our last show at Beat Kitchen, which is in Chicago, in January. And he introduced that, and the whole crowd it turned into a different kind of club. We were not at a rock club. We were at a house party. And we just left it right there. We didn't really like try to build it or change it. We just kind of left it there.
That's great.
And that's like, I think that's the things that like we look for as a band, and like that's what I look for, and like sort of like entering a flow state.
Right, where it's just pouring out of you.
Where it's just like there, it's just there, and you're.
It's like an exchange.
It's it's all the same thing that
And it
athletes
just-
talk about.
Yeah.
It's like
It's the same
breathing.
thing. It's the same thing that athletes talk about, where everything slows down,
Yeah,
and you can like see everything without really thinking about it,
Right.
and you just like are there.
Yeah.
And I mean that's why I actually flow state. We were talking about spirituality, like I'm Catholic by marriage, but I think like for me, the spirituality is more closely tied to that flow state.
those are the moments where
You're like
witness.
Yeah, and growing up, for my time, I got to observe a lot of people, huge people who are in like flow state constantly, like Michael Jackson,
Sure.
like Prince, and you can watch these moments where they are like literally they're in it. And then my a little bit later in my childhood is Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean, that guy,
They're exemplifying that.
they're like showing you every night what flow state is.
Sure. They're like a walking testament.
Yeah, and I think that's I don't know. I think that comes from, I mean, that kind of flow state comes from a lot of preparation.
Do you feel like you found
That's your
that?
preparation meeting opportunity.
Yeah, I mean,
Luck is preparation meeting
Yeah.
opportunity. John F. Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
Love that.
I can't call upon a flow state where I think those folks can.
You
like-
believe that?
I can't call it to me that quick.
Right.
Sometimes you have to be in the right frame of mind, but I do think it's like
It's a lot of allowing.
it's a lot of allowing, and I think it's also a lot of I think some of the flow state comes from if you really are prepared, if you've practiced and you really know everything, then you are not thinking about what you are playing or knowing
Right.
because you just know it.
It's in your bones.
I mean, there's the whole 10,000 hour rule. And I'm, like, I've now, like some of the folks we play with, they've done those 10,000 hours. And, they can play anything that they want,
Right.
So
which is
you don't have
which
to
is
worry about it.
it's not something that I
The
can.
mind is no longer
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right,
It's
it's
not
like-
something that I can do.
Right.
I have moments where I can do it, but
Right.
not the way that I see some of these folks. So instead, I choose to feed off of what they do
Sure.
and try to catch them.
You gotta catch a
What about
wave.
you? What about you, Tina? You find yourself there?
Same thing, man. Like it'll be a groove. Sometimes a groove will happen. Like I said, it's not necessarily me singing, it's me hearing.
Right.
And sometimes I'll even close my eyes and soak it in, and then I'll open it up and everything's moving slow. And it's just happening.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like you're
And everybody is vibrating on the same frequency.
you're no longer on the sidelines.
And no longer on the
Right.
longer on the
You are a
sidelines.
player.
Yeah.
In the
And
the
everybody
game.
is it's connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's so much fun too.
It's like an organism on a large scale. It's
Yeah.
multiple organisms becoming one.
I think that's, yeah. And I think like now I have, I'm like backtrack on it. I think there's something that's just there from the beginning. Like I said, preparation, but I also think like there's something there from the beginning. Like I have, 2 daughters, and
Yeah.
there are things that like before they can talk, there's things that you feel like they understand and that you understand.
Right.
And I almost feel like there's definitely a school of thought that says like our language gets in the way of like a flow state.
Yeah.
And that if there was not the emphasis on language, like what could we achieve? Like
Right.
what level could we achieve of,
Right.
not
Further expression without the barrier of
Not
words
like-
or trying to explain
not like
something.
building buildings or something, but like what could we achieve like collectively, and like how much could we communicate without ever really being in language?
Sure. Sure. Just expression, like art forms,
Yeah.
dance,
And
music.
yeah, and
That's
like,
as close as we can get right now.
and even just like connection of like understanding people and like seeing them. Like, I heard this story. This is probably totally not true, but this 3-year-old got caught out in the outside for a
Right.
couple days,
Right.
and he said that a bear found him and like kept him instead of eating him.
Sure.
The bear like sheltered him for like a couple of days, and like
It's the innocence.
knows?
It's the innocence. There's no fear.
but you even see these sometimes
Right.
in YouTube videos. You see like the elephants like protecting something, even if it's not their
Yeah.
species or whatever, because they just know, and it's just like,
There's no separation.
and it's
between-
just like this whole like collective of like, we all understand what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I even noticed that on. I mean, I'm going off in a lot of directions here, but
I love
like,
it.
But like, if you ever been to New York City, and you go in like the subway in New York City, and things are like packed, but there's a collective spatial awareness of everyone knows exactly how much room they have, and when someone needs to get out, like everyone like
It's like water.
moves like water to make it work. And it's something I've noticed it actually because it's been broken. We've broken it with our phones.
Yeah.
We've broken it with our phones and our earbuds and our worlds, worlds that we.
They're becoming separate. There's walls in between now.
Everyone now is default is their own situation, which is I am looking at my phone, I am listening to my podcast,
Right?
and I am not participating.
Yeah.
And
It's
you're not aware.
It's
And
not
so-
a universal awareness like it once
No,
was.
and I go to my job on the train, and I can't get out. At the stop, it's crowded
People
where
do
I get
not
out, and I
wanna
can't.
move.
We're
and I'm
going
like,
to a store, and like I find myself in maybe like a Walmart, trying to make me make like eye contact. Like, we all good
Oh,
here?
yeah.
Like, we all good here? No.
no, there's no
No.
eye contact anymore. Period.
No.
It's over.
Right? And I work with kids a lot, and it's like trying to teach that. Just trying to teach, like, you shake someone's hand, like, look them in the eye.
You have to. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You see somebody, you're trying to, connect with somebody. Look them
I've
in the eye.
become much worse at it.
Talk
like
with
now.
them. Just talk with them.
So crazy.
It's just a simple
crazy.
communication, like between two human beings.
I like having my superhero theme music, as I call it. I like having my music in my ear. I'll walk around like this, though. So
Right.
one,
You're still in it.
I'm still connected.
Like 1 foot in, 1 foot
Yeah,
out.
I have to be. But I have to be aware of what's around me. I see so many people get jacked. I see people drop stuff. They're not paying attention.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what are you doing? You're still out in the world. Like, pay attention. Okay, could everybody just move, please? Just make way. Like, people are coming out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not the only person that has to go to work. You're not the only person.
Right.
Like show some compassion for like my time too. Like,
Right.
get your head out of your phone for a second.
Yeah.
It's in your hand.
Yeah. Yeah. And like,
Look around you. Notice that these doors are open, and let me out. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's
and
it's ridiculous.
It all comes full circle, like talking about the ego. You talk about that 3-year-old kid who gets taken by the bear, right? He turns it over. He doesn't have the ego. He doesn't have the fear
Right.
that we might have.
That's right. He's
Right.
not like, oh
It's a
shit,
bear.
there is a bear.
Right. And when you
He's
have the-
like, there's a bear.
that's it.
Right.
Right. And we create that with each other. We create fear
interesting.
between each other with these barriers that we create. It's like you wouldn't understand.
Right. Or you're a bear, you're going
stay
to
over
eat me.
there.
Now, granted, I also saw a video of.
Or you might not understand me.
right.
I also saw a video of a. It was like some kind of preacher in Africa who got off the safari tour bus and was like, "I am protected by God. This lion will not maul me."
Do you know?
And he got killed.
Well, he probably didn't turn that
Well,
ego
see,
all the way over.
No,
he
it-
might have been doing it for the camera.
Jesus never told people to be stupid. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
Jesus would stand out there.
Have you
and be
seen
like,
Grizzly Man? Grizzly
I haven't
Man?
seen it.
Timothy Treadwell
I've heard about it.
Went up in Alaska for like 6 years, living with the bears in Alaska. He'd be standing next to them, like this far away.
Yeah.
Grizzly bear. Hey, chocolate. Hey, chocolate. Like just trying to pet him, like reach out and pet him.
Didn't they eventually eat him?
Now here's the thing. He survived for 6 years doing this every summer.
Okay.
He brings his girlfriend up.
Oh.
First year he brings his girlfriend up.
Yeah.
They smell the fear and they eat them both.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But when he was
That's
there,
what he get for bringing sand to the beach. That was his thing. Everybody don't need to be around.
right?
What the hell you try to do?
She was skeptical.
That's what happens
Yeah.
when you try to include.
That's interesting.
True story. Decent
That's
movie.
crazy.
Decent movie too.
I'll have to
That's
check it out.
crazy.
I've been watching. I just watched the Ted Bundy tapes.
Sick. How do
It
you
was
expose
crazy.
yourself to that?
I actually treated it like I was listening to a podcast
Yes.
because it was mostly interviews.
Yes.
So it was very few times I even had to look at the
Yeah.
the
It's like going to the dark side, like trying
Video?
to get that.
Yeah,
find
I was
the
trying to
truth-
understand.
to find the light in that, to find the
gotta-
truth in that. You
you
got to be
gotta
pretty
understand
advanced.
I was trying to understand like what is in this guy's head
Yeah.
and
Like, what is his truth?
I think he was just beaten up as a kid.
There you go. That created
Was,
his
like,
reality.
Imbalanced as a kid and like didn't ever got the support to deal with it, and then I don't know how someone does that. I mean, but the level of evil that he like wrought was beyond. So I don't know, but I mean, it seems like it started with like not getting love or support or understanding as a kid.
And like with podcasts and music and all the different forms of entertainment we have, does that help life on the road? Like, what is life on the road like? I've never been able to do that, travel for my career. You guys seem to do that quite often.
I mean, I think everyone goes through different phases. I think that's one of the hardest things to figure out is what is your dynamic on the road?
Yeah.
Like,
how do you find that unity? Kind of doing, you got your day job and then you got this kind of going on the weekends. Like, how do you bring it all together?
I mean, you let people do their thing.
Yeah.
That's the only answer to me. Like, you can't force.
Yeah, what do you mean?
We've been fortunate to have some. I think we all get along because the expectation is just a mutual respect. I don't expect people to. You don't have to act a certain way around me. You just got to be cool.
Yeah.
I'd rather you be cool. Like, we do a lot of laughing
Yes.
Yeah.
as a band. For me, that's important. That's
Yeah.
one of my most favorite things to do is laugh.
Yes.
You develop
I think
inside
that's
jokes.
healing. I think yes.
Have you guys become kind of like a family on the road?
Yeah, I mean, we're
Yeah.
a kind of family that can like assume closeness, and then when we're not on the road, it's like not necessarily as close.
Sure.
I mean, but like everyone, I mean, we have a great time,
It
and we
seems
when
like
we
it.
have guests, like people coming to play with us for the first time. I think that's one of the things that they take away.
How
And some of
much
my
fun
friends,
we are.
some of my friends who've been in other bands that have toured, even much more, they just say like the vibe is like so much more tense or weird or, and we have a pretty relaxed vibe. I think I'm probably the most taskmastery, but I've mellowed in my older age.
But he has to be
Mature.
because he's logistics man. He's
But I do have to,
Captain
like-
Logistics.
Sure. I
I
mean,
do have to think of like
make the connections.
Yeah.
what has to happen.
Right. Connect the dots.
He's 4 steps ahead of all of us.
The organizer to get everything in its place.
Yeah, and once we find out, he's like, okay, this, circle jerk. Throw that junk in, and you know what I'm saying. So
Yes.
once we get the what we have to do down, everything else is, life.
Cover what we have to do, and then
You do what you
then
have
whatever.
to do, so you do what you want to do.
Right.
yeah.
That's a beautiful dynamic. So
Oh, we're working on it.
definitely. And I honestly, I appreciate you guys coming on. It was an awesome conversation.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
Thank you.
Time
Really fun.
flies for real.
Yeah, really fun.
Tonight
And,
we're at
I mean,
the Ordoc.
That's
Yep.
right.
Night
So
tomorrow.
before we finish up, is there any shout outs you guys want to do or any tour dates you want to put out there?
Well, Harbor Fest in Marquette will be August 23rd. Hey,
Yeah, we'll be back for that.
we'll be in on the other side of Michigan in July. We'll be doing Grand Rapids, Traverse City, like that whole area.
Yeah, Upper Michigan.
Yeah, and then Chicago, we're going to be doing. There's some other things mixed in there too, but Do Division is a big festival, and we'll be on that in the end of May. So that's a fun thing.
Right on.
And next
yeah.
week we'll be.
Well, I don't know when this comes out, but next week we'll be at Bell's
Okay.
in Kalamazoo, which we're really excited about.
Founders.
Bell's
Bell.
Bell's Eccentric Cafe.
Okay.
Bell's beer, yeah.
Right on.
And tonight and tomorrow we're at Ordock.
The Ordock
Say it
in
up
Marquette,
front.
Michigan, baby.
Yep.
Shout
Cool.
out to everybody up front. Oh, what's our
Yeah.
boy's name?
Shout
Who wrote
outs-
himself?
Shout outs to all the people. All the people listening.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
We just bid the people of Marquette peace and love, man. Like, that's all we need right now.
Yep.
Need some peace and love. And come see a Bumpus show.
James, Tina, it's been an honor.
Thank you.
Man.
Till next time, guys.
My
Yep.
pleasure.
Ride the waves, dude.
Yeah.